Most people think public administration and public policy are the same thing. They are connected, but they are not the same. And if you don't understand the difference, you will never properly understand how government works, because one side is about deciding what should be done. The other side is about making it happen in real life. In simple words, public policy is the decision. Public administration is the execution. Policy says, we need to improve public health care. Administration asks, how many hospitals, how much budget, which doctors, which medicines, which areas department, which timeline, which data, which monitoring system. That is the difference. One creates direction, the other creates delivery. Think about something simple. A government announces that every child should receive free education. That announcement is public policy. But after the announcement, the real work begins. Who will build the schools? Who will hire the teachers? Who will train them? Who will buy the books? Who will track attendance? Who will check whether children are actually learning? That is public administration. So policy is not enough. A beautiful policy without strong administration is just a speech with paperwork. And this is where many governments fail. They announce big things: free healthcare, youth employment, digital services, clean water, better policing, affordable housing, poverty reduction, education reform. But after the announcement, nothing changes on the ground. Why? Because the policy was created, but the administrative system was too weak to deliver it. And sometimes we apply the same concept in daily life without realizing it. Imagine you decide to lose weight. That is your policy. But waking up early, planning meals, buying healthy food, walking every day, tracking progress, avoiding sugar, and staying consistent, that is administration. The decision is easy. The execution is hard. Or imagine a business owner says, we need better customer service. That is policy. But hiring staff, training them, creating scripts, tracking complaints, measuring response time, and improving operations, that is administration. Again, the idea is simple. Policy is what you want. Administration is how you get it done. Now let's bring it back to government. Public policy is about solving public problems: unemployment, crime, inflation, pollution, traffic, housing, healthcare, education, poverty, corruption. A policy tries to answer, what is the problem? Who is affected? What should government do? What law should be passed? What budget should be allocated? What goals should be achieved? Public administration asks different questions. Which department will handle it? Who will be responsible? What process will be followed? How will funds be distributed? How will services reach citizens? How will corruption be controlled? How will performance be measured? How will complaints be handled? That is why both fields need each other. Policy without administration is imagination. Administration without policy is directionless routine. A government department can work every day, process files, hold meetings, prepare reports, and follow procedures, but if there is no clear policy direction, the system just becomes busy without being useful. On the other hand, politicians can announce the most inspiring policies. But if the administrative machinery is weak, corrupt, underfunded, or badly managed, nothing meaningful happens. That is the real tension between policy and administration. One lives in the world of goals. The other lives in the world of constraints. Policy can say, build 1 million houses. Administration must deal with land, contractors, budget, corruption, permits, materials, courts, local politics, delays, and public complaints. Policy can say, make healthcare free. Administration must deal with doctors, nurses, hospitals, equipment, medicine shortages, patient records, emergency systems, and funding. Policy can say, reduce crime. Administration must deal with police training, courts, prisons, surveillance, community trust, laws, evidence, and resources. Policy sounds clean on paper. Administration gets dirty in real life. And that's why this subject matters. Because most people judge government from announcements, but serious people judge government from delivery. A country is not strong because it announces good policies. A country is strong when it can implement those policies consistently, fairly, and efficiently. Now let's take a practical example. Suppose a city has a traffic problem. The public policy could be, we will reduce traffic congestion by improving public transport and controlling illegal parking. That is the policy goal. But public administration means traffic police need new rules, transport department needs buses, city planners need routes, finance department needs budget, Road authorities need infrastructure. IT teams need traffic data. Local government needs parking enforcement. Citizens need awareness. If these departments do not coordinate, the policy fails, even if the idea was correct. That is why implementation is often harder than decision-making. Because policy can be made in a meeting. Administration happens across thousands of small actions, and every small action can create failure, a delayed file, a corrupt officer, a missing database, a poorly trained employee, a weak local office, a confused citizen, a budget cut, political interference, a department refusing to cooperate. This is why public administration is the hidden battlefield of government. People see the policy, but they don't see the machine behind it. They see the announcement, but they don't see the procurement process. They see the hospital building, but they don't see staffing, medicine supply, patient data, budget approvals, maintenance, and monitoring. They see the road, but they don't see land acquisition, contractor selection, tendering, corruption risks, engineering approvals, and project delays. That invisible system is public administration. Now, here is another important difference. Public policy is more about choice. Public administration is more about capacity. Policy asks, what should we do? Administration asks, can we actually do it? And this is where weak states get exposed. A government may want to improve education, but does it have trained teachers? Does it have accurate data? Does it know where schools are missing? Can it monitor ghost schools? Can it stop fake attendance? Can it deliver books on time? Can it measure learning outcomes? If the answer is no, then the policy will fail. Not because the idea was wrong, but because the administrative capacity is weak. This is why copying policies from other countries often fails. A country may copy Singapore's anti-corruption model, Finland's education model, Britain's healthcare model, or Estonia's digital government model. But if it does not have the same institutions, trust, data systems, trained staff, legal enforcement, and administrative discipline, the copied policy will not work. You cannot copy success only by copying the policy document. You need the administrative system behind it. That is the part most countries ignore. Now let's make it even simpler. If government is like a restaurant, public policy is the menu decision. Public administration is the kitchen, staff, supply chain, billing, cleaning, delivery, customer service, inventory, and daily operations. The owner can say, we will serve the best biryani in the city. That is the policy. But if rice is late, meat quality is poor, chef is untrained, delivery is slow, staff is confused, and billing is wrong, the customer does not care about your vision. The customer judges the result. Citizens are the same. They don't care how beautiful the policy document is. They care whether the school works, the hospital treats them, the road is built, the police respond, and the service is delivered. That is public administration. Now, public policy also has its own process. Usually it includes problem identification, agenda setting, policy formulation, decision-making, implementation, evaluation. But notice something. Implementation is where public administration becomes central, because once a policy is approved, administrators take over. Civil servants, local government officials, finance officers, police departments, health workers, teachers, regulators, inspectors, data teams, public managers. These are the people who turn policy into action. But here's the complicated part. Administration is not neutral in real life. Textbooks sometimes say politicians make policy and administrators simply implement it. That sounds clean. But in reality, administrators also influence policy. Why? Because they have expertise. They know the ground reality. They know what is possible and what is not. They control information. They write reports. They design procedures. They advise ministers. They decide how rules are interpreted. They can speed things up. They can slow things down. So the relationship is not simple. Policy shapes administration. But administration also shapes policy. For example, a minister may announce a new housing scheme, but civil servants may decide eligibility rules, application forms, verification methods, monitoring systems, and payment procedures. Those small administrative choices can completely change who benefits and who gets excluded. That means administration is not just mechanical execution. It has power. And this is where accountability becomes important, because unelected officials also make decisions that affect millions of people. So citizens need transparency. They need complaint systems. They need audits. They need courts. They need media. They need performance reports. They need democratic oversight. Otherwise, administration can become powerful without being responsible, and policy can become popular without being practical. That is the danger. A politician may create a policy only to win votes. An administrator may delay implementation to protect old systems. A department may resist reform because it threatens its power. A contractor may influence procurement. A donor may push imported solutions. A pressure group may shape priorities. This is why public policy and public administration are not just technical subjects. They are about power. Who decides, who implements, who benefits, who pays, who is ignored, who is held accountable. That is the real angle. So when we say public administration versus public policy, we are not talking about a small academic difference. We are talking about the full journey from idea to impact, from problem to decision, from decision to system, from system to service, from service to citizen experience, and finally, from citizen experience back to political trust. Because if policy fails again and again, people stop trusting government. They stop believing announcements. They stop paying taxes willingly. They start using personal connections. They look for shortcuts. They assume corruption is normal. And once that happens, the state becomes weaker, not because it has no laws, but because citizens no longer believe the system will deliver. That is why understanding this difference matters. Public policy tells us what government wants to achieve. Public administration tells us whether government is capable of achieving it. One is the promise. The other is the proof. One is the blueprint. The other is the construction. One is the decision. The other is the delivery. In this playlist, we will study both, because you cannot understand government by studying only one side. If you only study policy, you become impressed by ideas, but blind to implementation. If you only study administration, you understand systems, but may miss the bigger political goals. Real understanding comes when you connect both. Because modern government is not just about making decisions, it is about making decisions that can actually work. At the Learning Studio, we will not treat public administration and public policy like boring textbook definitions. We will understand them through real examples, failed reforms, successful countries, public services, crises, corruption, digital government, and AI. Because once you understand the difference between policy and administration, you start seeing government differently. You stop asking only, what did the government announce? And you start asking the better question, can the system actually deliver it?